come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. You got a belly up to the bar, we've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Angel is going to be your bartendress tonight. She pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is in fact lighted to my left, your right, right over here. Now that indicates that you can, well, if you want to, you can listen and chat at shrmedia.com. It also means you can watch the show two places. One is the SHR Media Facebook page. The second is the SHR Media YouTube channel, which are both simulcasting right now. If you go to shrmedia.com, what you'll be doing is listening in Spreaker, and it is there. And if I can get over to the right screen, there we go. It is from there that you will be chatting, etc. We've had some upgrades in the studio. Hey, there we go. Mike is in chat. Good to see Mike in chat. Anyway, tonight, I gotta say this, we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation, politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred, the speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the damn toilet, jiggle the handle, and don't forget to tip your waitress. Tonight, I think I need to turn up the, there we go, there's the better volume. I'm damn near deaf. So I have to make sure that I turn up the volume in the old headphones here so that I can hear adequately for the rest of the show. Now, my volume on the headphones customarily would make anybody else deaf, but tonight that only involves me. We have a very interesting show. This is Thursday night. It's January 24th, 2019. Now, I passed up... Hey, Mary Brockman, good to see you. And like I said, Mike in chat. I passed up a very important mark from last week. Last week, Thursday night, was January 17th. And I should have celebrated it, but I wasn't feeling it, so the show wasn't on. Yeah, I had the flu, and I've had the flu off and on. In any event, last Thursday night... and I'm going to talk to Sack Heads SHAUN about that a little bit later on in the second hour. Last night was the second year anniversary of the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show right here on SHRmedia.com. And I'm very, very happy to be here, but I just had to let everybody know. In a way, I have to say it seems like it's been less than that. Not quite as long. In other ways, it seems like it's been more than 2 years. But the show, since I started on January 1st of 2017, January 17th of 2017, the studio has changed a ton. How we support the radio show has changed a ton. The equipment has changed a ton. It's hard to say how much this place has changed. We've still got great people on SHR, but my show here has changed quite a bit. In the first hour, we're going to have Lonnie Poindexter from the Lion Chasers. In the second hour, I'm going to have 68 separate occasions in which the media provided fake news about Donald John Trump. And that's just in again, roughly year and a half, 2 years since he's been here. And then, of course, we'll have happy stories in the second hour, and we'll have excellent news and updates. And we're also going to have Sack Heads SHAUN in the studio in the second hour. Right now, he happens to be out. I think he's shopping, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see if we can get Lonnie Poindexter on the phone. That would be absolutely bulbous, because we interviewed him once before, last year, and it'll be great to speak to him again.
Hello.
Lonnie Poindexter.
BC, how you doing, brother?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you for being here tonight, and I got to tell you, folks, I have the distinct privilege of speaking, like I told you before, to Lonnie Poindexter, a Christian, a conservative. The dude is a lion chaser. He's a host of his own show, his own radio show, Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. And that show, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I got this right, it's on Monday through Fridays. I think 11 a.m. Eastern it starts?
Correct.
Okay, and it's 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And you can find it on urbanfamilytalk.com. And Lonnie was on the show last year on August 24th, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And I had to have him on again because so much has changed it's not even been a year, but my God, how things have changed in that amount of time. Lonnie, I want to tell people, he kind of quantifies his show this way. Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter is an in-depth look at the effects of liberal ideology on the African-American community. Our aim is to replace long-held lies and deception with sound biblical practices that point our community back to a moral and free society. Rebuilding our foundation with biblical principles and unwavering truth is essential if we hope to produce a prosperous community and strong families, of which I completely agree. There is so much to talk about in the intervening space, but I think the first thing that I want to do, if I could please, Lonnie, is tell people your social media and tell folks where you can be found and or read, please.
Sure, brother. You can, your listeners can catch me at urbanfamilytalk.com, where I host my national radio show. And I also want to mention that we are on the internet as well as on terrestrial radio towers across the country, because we are part of American Family Association, American Family Radio, which is the largest Christian radio network in the nation, somewhere just south of 200 radio stations across the country. And you can find out where those towers are by going to the website urbanfamilytalk.com. And you can catch me in social media at Lonnie Poindexter in social media, or you can find my fan page at Lion Chasers Radio with Lonnie Poindexter. You can catch us there. I'm also on Twitter. I can't really claim Instagram. I haven't done much with Instagram. That's for the younger generation. But Twitter and Facebook is primarily where you can catch me. And also MeWe, because when I finally get set up with Facebook, I'm probably going to move over to their platform or to one of the other social media platforms because of what Facebook is doing to the conservative community.
You know, I have to tell you, it's very interesting that you just said that, because there is a group that I belong to, the United States Gun Owners Association, and they too have said specifically, just as you, that they are absolutely fed up with Facebook. And I find it interesting that they also said that they're going to be migrating over to MeWe. So since I'm not a guru about social media, I'm guessing that you probably peeked around a little bit to find a better place to go than Facebook. And since I don't know anything about MeWe, what was it, maybe, if you even know, what was it that attracted you to that one instead of, I don't know, there's a couple of other ones that I can't think of offhand.
MeWe was brought to me by just some of my associates that said, check them out. And I did, and MeWe's claim to fame is that they don't do what Facebook does to you, for those who have our particular worldview. So that got my attention. There's some others that are out there. I heard about Social Cross. I haven't played with them much, and some others. And there's some new apps being developed. I'm under non-disclosure, but at some point this year they'll be announced that will give the conservative community a place where they can go to exchange ideas and thoughts and so forth in an environment where we're not, subjugated to second-class citizenship like we are in Facebook. I am just about fed up. I still use Facebook because it's commentary. You can find that at urbanfamilytalk.com. Sons of Liberty Media. You can find my commentary there with Bradley Dean, and so it's frustrating. I guess I've used that word before, but you get angry. But this is what happens. I was talking about on my show today how these guys get so big that they think they're big to fail, and then what we try to do is try to socially re-engineer the culture of a nation, of America, and that we as common sense folk, those of us in the conservative community, need to understand the awesome power that we have with our wallets and with our eyeballs. If we don't patronize a particular platform or a particular business and what have you, they lose revenue. If they lose revenue, I don't care what they believe, the board of directors and senior decision makers or the shareholders will bounce their behinds right out of those positions.
Yes.
So we must recognize that we have that kind of power.
Social media is such a massive presence. If you want to do something, you almost have to be on some form of social media to get your word across.
Yes.
And so many, I find it so conflicting. And like you, I get angry and frustrated when I see my fellow friends, conservatives, knocked off of various forms of social media, shadow banned by Twitter. That's happened to me before. People that have literally gotten kicked off of Facebook, they've been put on, double secret probation. Facebook or Twitter or some of the other social media giants having not notified them, but found out from other friends, guests, etc. The stuff has got to stop. Now, when you said that you can't talk about a new conservative platform, I understand that. I get that. I do have a couple of questions. If you can humor me for just a moment, as in, is what you're looking at, could it be possibly as large or as efficient as, say, Twitter, as effective in terms of social media, do you think?
I think it has the potential, and the only reason I can't mention because they haven't launched the app yet.
Okay, I understand.
And it's, some context, some cronies I know out of Silicon Valley, or more specific, the Bay Area, that have our worldview and are looking to do something different. Now, we know that Twitter and Facebook are disruptive apps that came out of nowhere and changed the way we do things today, correct?
Right.
So disruptive technologies, and that's what Silicon Valley was very, very good at. In fact, I worked in Silicon Valley for about 20 years before God got my attention and dropped me here in the swamp, and I ended up with a radio show. But no one's too big to fail. And Zuckerberg thinks he's too big to fail. And as soon as someone develops another killer app that will supersede what Facebook is doing, as big as they are, they'll end up going the way of, if I remember back to my old tech days when companies like DEC and even IBM back in the day said that PCs would never be anything more than something as a toy that folks would play with at home.
Right.
Boy, were those two companies both wrong. One almost went out of business, IBM, and the other one, DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation. Most folks don't even know who.
No, that's true.
If you're a millennial, you don't even know who they are. But they were a powerhouse back in the day.
Let me refresh people's memories because it's my bad for not having you on sooner. You were born in Los Angeles near LAX is what I remember. In 2012, I think you moved from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. And like you also indicated, you worked in Silicon Valley in tech. You wanted to be a musician or an architect, but I think you kind of figured that in terms of keeping you a mortgage paid, et cetera, that musicianship wasn't going to be quite where you wanted to go. And
I like to eat.
Yeah, eating is good. Survival is good, always. And you grew up in Southwest Los Angeles, which is, I think you mentioned like Compton, Inglewood. Compton being the center of NWA and some other rappers that have come out of that. You founded... Boy, you are taxing my memory. You founded...
You got a great memory.
You co-founded a computer company in Irvine. You came across sort of a life-changing incident when you were co-owner of that company. because you guys got behind on employee taxes, and the IRS came down and put its massive size 12 boot on your neck. And the epiphany that you acquired, if I'm not mistaken, at that point was that expect no understanding, expect no love, expect no compassion, expect nothing but we're going to do this because we are the government and we can do this, and whatever you're thinking or wanting does not factor into our government application of said boot. Do I have things kind of correct so far?
You nailed it right down. That was my epiphany. And that old adage from Ronald Reagan says that we're here from the government and we're here to help.
Yeah, sure.
Which is what they first said to us, and then they summarily destroyed our company. When we had made an honest mistake, we didn't want to go into debt, and we're trying to grow the company off the profits. I've since matured in that area. You do new seed capital at some point, and you got 17, 20, 21 employees, and they didn't give a rat's you know what about those employees.
Nah.
And that's when I said, okay, something doesn't smell right in Denmark. And I learned that the boogeyman was not some white guy with a suit on that was in the Republican Party. I learned that the boogeyman was somebody showing up in a Crown Victoria with a big T on their chest saying that I'm here from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
That's when my epiphany took place. And here's what's interesting about that, DZ, is that it connected me with my worldview because I was raised as a conservative.
Right.
Now, my parents wouldn't call themselves that. They would be considered Kennedy-era Democrats, right? Conservative Democrats. But my upbringing is where my conservative values came from. I just had not aligned my worldview, which was biblical, with my political worldview. And so once I made that adjustment, I haven't looked back since.
That's, like you said, that epiphany, the last time you spoke, you said that the evil was the government. And it's sad to have to say that people consider government to be the evil portion of this nation, but sometimes the truth is exactly that. And at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, that's when God, conservatism, your worldview changed simultaneously, and you, I think, realized that it's sort of like a tri-pronged effect of religious, conservative, and the political aspects are things that you just couldn't ignore anymore. And it was pounded home to you in a way that is most unfortunate, but that's where lots of people get various epiphanies in their lives.
They certainly do. And just for your listeners out there, I'm not anti-government any more than you're
not
anti-government.
No,
we are anti-big, intrusive government run amok is what I'm anti.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Precisely. I couldn't have said it better. I came across this. I went to your Facebook, and I came across this cut. And folks, if you want to understand a little bit more about Lonnie Poindexter, and I would highly recommend that you listen to his show Monday through Friday. But if you want to get a little bit more of an insight into what runs Lonnie Poindexter and what motivates him, I would suggest we listen to this right now.
My name is Lonnie Poindexter. I'm originally from California, but now residing in Washington, D.C. My focus is on the black community primarily because 50 years of liberal policies have negatively impacted the African American community to the point where we have systemic breakdown in the family. And that connection ties directly back to public policy, of which the last 6 years we've seen some things come down the pike that really are having a negative impact on our community. Across the nation, 70% of families in urban communities today are single-parent, typically female head of household. In Southeast Washington, D.C., that number is 89%. That's appalling. We're primarily trying to overcome, first of all, the negative impact of abortion, where you have 70+% of abortion clinics are located within urban communities. Absentee fatherhood is another key issue, and that is cause for the other issues that we see with the proliferation of young black males in prison, young black males in altercations with police officers, and in the absentee fatherhood where no one's taking responsibility for their progeny. I'm looking to return us back, not to the old days of oppression, but to the old days of strong family units
Yes.
where you could succeed in spite of the obstacles put before you. My brothers are those who share my values. With World Congress of Families, it's just a natural fit for what my worldview is. I think family is the foundation of civilization. So without the family, we have no world as we know it. And so this is my way to take a stand and fight the good fight of faith, to push back that darkness so that the family is the center of all things, because I believe it's a picture of who our Creator is in heaven.
I think that's probably one of the best, 2-minute summaries of what it is that you believe in. I had to play it. Once I heard that, I thought, God, that is a fabulous summary of what it is that you fight for.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. That was done back in 2015 as I participated in the World Congress of Families in Salt Lake City, where they had pro-family organizations from all over the world descend on Salt Lake. It was a great time, and I met some wonderful folks from all over the world that understand the time that we are in and are pushing back valiantly against this leftist liberalism that's affecting not only America but the world. And I learned at the event is that all those nations are looking to America to take leadership in this valiant fight.
Yeah, I would agree. You mentioned the first time on the show that there is, and I remembered this phrase, there is a superficiality of ethnicity, and those who, and I always remembered this phrase too, of those people who happen to have a darker paint job, is the way you called it. And it's unfortunately a very divisive culture now, and it's based primarily on race and sex, and you are fighting and I am fighting to make sure that the world and people are so much more than that. Folks, I want to again remind you that we're listening to Lonnie Poindexter of Lion Chasers. You can listen to him Monday through Friday on urbanfamilytalk.com. He's on at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's called Lion Chasers. And Lion Chasers, again, if I've learned my lesson correctly, and you please tell me, Lonnie Poindexter, Lion Chasers are those people who have the courage today to stand up to all sorts of varied and never-ending cultural and political lions. There are tons of lions out there, and you and me and the people who are conservatives, it doesn't matter our paint job. We all have to be strong out there, and I think that's the message that you're trying to send, is it not?
That's exactly it, my brother. I have a saying. I said, my brethren are those who share my values and worldview, which is biblical. I said they may or may not necessarily share my paint job. And I came with the term paint job because I found that it really, I think, identifies the superficiality of ethnicity, not knocking our heritage and that kind of thing. I think that that's not what this is about. But at the end of the day, the things that really matter are what we believe and what we stand for. And so the show, Lion Chasers, which is based on the scripture, 1 Chronicles 11:22, which talks about this guy named Benaiah, who was one of David's mighty men, who went one-on-one with a lion down in a pit on a snowy day and prevailed. So it's for uncommon men and women of faith. And so I've adjusted that. I don't say uncommon men and women of faith. I say common men and women of faith who do uncommon things, because it takes you step outside of yourself to stand up and speak truth to power, because you're going to pay a price.
Oh.
You're going to pay a price for that.
Is that ever evident? It's evident in social media. You say it every day. Leftists, I am firmly convinced that leftists have little, if any, ability for self-introspection or self-examination.
I agree.
It's a sad comment to say that you have to be a lion chaser to support what so many people believe is nothing more than just the application of a common sense life. And I'm not an individual that pounds the pavement for God. I believe in God. I have a unique view of that. I'm not necessarily an individual that believes in organized religion so much as what it is that is within the individual, and that the individual themselves can go out and do good things in their time on the planet.
Yeah.
But that is part and parcel of the emphasis. If I could distill, I think what you're trying to do, and once more, correct me if I'm mistaken, you're trying to re-emphasize the incredible importance of one word today, family.
Yep. That's it, in a nutshell. When I think about the organization that I broadcast through in their network, American Family Association, part of American Family Radio, largest Christian radio network in the nation. Mm-hmm. The name of our network for our target demographic, Urban Family Talk. It's all centered around family because it hit me one day some years ago. Family is the foundation of civilization.
But
you don't have society as we know it without family. That's why they're attacking the family. And then they're using the black community as the pawns to drive this false doctrine of tolerance and inclusion, all based on the divisiveness that comes from stirring up something that happened a couple hundred years ago as it relates to slavery. And the reality is, if we don't know our true history, then we fall prey to that and become passionately misinformed. I talk about this on the show all the time. See, I came from a community of overcomers. I came from a community in South Central, Southwest Los Angeles, however you want to turn it, of overcomers. These are folks who came primarily from the South during the great migration of blacks to the North and to the West, looking for jobs and opportunities. They all came with nothing. They all found a way, in spite of the racial obstacles that were put in their path. They bought homes. They put their kids in college. If they had a little extra money, they put a swimming pool in the backyard. They started their own businesses in spite of, which is truer to the American ideal. And yet, this community is being used as and I use this term all the time, as the pawns in driving a narrative that's so far from the truth that I'm incensed. The black community are not victims. We may have been victimized. There's a difference.
Oh,
but if you are
yes.
a victim, you live there. If you have been victimized, you say, okay, this happened to me, but this is what I did in spite of. And then see, getting back to my faith, when I begin to understand that if things are left in place, obstacles are put in your path, most oftentimes it's God saying, hey, I'm going to leave this there. It's going to be for your greater good, because as you overcome this, and I'll use this example, anyone that works out or is an athlete or something like that knows that as you lift weights, the byproduct is you build muscle. You build muscle mass. The more weight that you lift, the stronger that you get. The more frequency that you lift that weight, the more endurance that you get. Obstacles in life are the same way. And I begin to see things that way. And my dad taught me this. And my father came from humble beginnings, came from dirt poor Mississippi, came from a broken home, segregation in the South, came to California, and because of his grandmother, because of his mother, who had a 7th grade education, who at one time they picked fruits and vegetables with the migrant workers, and he and all his siblings, all 5 of them, lived in a tent with a wooden floor in Central California. That little old lady, my grandmother, taught my father still that regardless of what they were dealing with as a family, that you could accomplish whatever you wanted in life. Focus on your goals, faith in God, ignoring the peripheral. My father has a colorful word for that. I said, Dad, that's what Grandma told you? He said, yeah, that's what my mom told me. And my father went from those humble beginnings and then became successful as a corporate executive, as an entrepreneur, and a businessman in the 60s and the 70s.
Well, try doing...
So what excuse do I have?
Yeah.
None.
Exactly. These were different times. Folks, we're going to have to take a break. We're talking to Lonnie Poindexter of Lion Chasers. And again, Lonnie, thank you for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. When we come back from the break, I'd like to make an observation and then go a little bit more in depth about God and about the family and how we as individuals and as groups, we have the ability, we have an amazing power like this social media thing that's coming up. Can't wait to hear about that. But we have an incredible power. We just have to make sure that we use it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sack Heads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you're listening to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR Media Network. The sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Network studios, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles east of the veritable locus of evil on the entire left coast. At night, the capital of California in Sacramento, the Bill Mill sits in its majestic repose, where at night when I leave out the left door right here and I go outside, I can literally smell the evil brimstone and sulfur emanating 2 miles from that terrible building in Sacramento, California. Tonight, we have the luxury of speaking to Lonnie Poindexter. He is a lion chaser. He's got his radio show Monday through Friday, Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter at Urban Family. Oh gosh, refresh my memory, Lonnie Poindexter. What's the website that people need to go to listen to your show?
Sure, it's urbanfamilytalk.com, urbanfamilytalk.com.
Okay, urbanfamilytalk.com. You got to go there quick like a bunny, and it's 11 a.m. Eastern is when it starts, and it runs for 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday. We were talking to Lonnie a little bit earlier. After his event, I guess you could say, in Los Angeles, Lonnie, you moved to Silicon Valley, and I think you said that you were working there for like 15 or 20 years. You then got a calling, and you decided that it was time to move yourself from California to D.C. to essentially do, if I'm saying it correctly, to basically do God's work with regard to family, urban America, conservatism, that kind of thing.
That's right. I was moved to California. Now, God had to do some getting of my attention, and I ended up listening finally. And I had the opportunity to come to Washington, D.C. and work for Star Parker's nonprofit, which is Center for Urban Renewal and Education. And Star Parker is a veteran, a black conservative based here in D.C., and she and I go back many years because we actually sat underneath the same ministry leadership in Southern California with nothing like being with mature clergy who can give you a true lay of the land and understand and explain to you the Word of God in a way that makes sense as to how you can apply the practical means. And so I have to thank Star Parker for actually getting me out here to D.C. And then after about 2 years later, I got the opportunity to get my own show, and I've been kind of doing my own thing ever since and enjoying every minute of it.
Which is a wonderful thing, I have to tell you. I can remember this quote from August of 24th last year when I was talking to you. Candace Owens, again, this is one of these things that's hammered into my mind, is she said that Democrats treat black Americans like heroin addicts. I never forgot that. I never forgot that little quote. Look, Lonnie Poindexter, here's what I think is the difference between conservatives and Democrats today. And me, for one, I'm a registered independent. The establishment Republicans, frankly, I don't care for them much at all.
Right.
But I've always said that no one is equal until everyone is equal. And that doesn't mean a priority or a hierarchy or a flow chart or the Animal Farm quote that all animals are equal, except some animals are more equal than others. To me, it means actual equality, real equality with everybody. Why wouldn't I want every black American to become a conservative? I absolutely do. It's the same for Mexicans, Asians, Indians, or whatever paint job, I love that, again, phrase, imaginable. Pink, purple, or burnt umber, it doesn't matter. And this is, again, why I love having you on, Lonnie Poindexter. Everybody has to know and realize that people have much more in common than not. Conservatives, I think conservatives value everybody, no matter the paint job. They place a high priority, as do you, on family, every family. We value God. We value honesty, compassion, independence, of valid authority, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the belief that everybody should have the same opportunity. Nobody can guarantee the doggone outcomes like other people would want. And why I think that you're so important is I believe that fighting for the family is, in fact, it's doing God's work. You're doing the work you can, and God bless you for that. You decided to pull up stakes and do the work right where you believe in D.C., where you can do it most effectively. And so at a time when leftists and Democrats and the American media maggots, they're insisting on removing our rights, removing our liberties and freedoms. I think you ask a critical question that we all need to ask is, how did we get here? How did we get here? I want more freedom, more liberty, fewer rules and regulations. I want people to become independent and self-reliant. So I like to use this, and right after this is where I'd like you to weigh in, please, sir. I like to use this current hot topic as an example, the Second Amendment and firearms. The firearm is nothing more than a tool. You use it and wield it when it's necessary. It in itself is not inherently good or evil, but say between the 1950s, the 1960s, and now, the perception of shooting incidents has escalated when, in fact, we know that crime actually peaked, because I was working there at the time, in the mid-1990s. And I know that because I was working in law enforcement at that time. So crime has been recently creeping back up. We know why, but we got to ask Lonnie Poindexter a fundamental question that no one on the left seems to want to. Since the 50s, I think this is the question. Since the 50s and the 60s to now, what changed? Did the tool change? Did the firearm change? Or did society change? And if it's kind of like an if-then equation. If it's a societal change that's responsible, which I fervently believe it is, then what aspect of society changed? I submit it's the once nuclear American family, the once nuclear black family. We talked about that last time you were here. Yeah. Dad in the house, mom in the house, married together, having kids. The once nuclear white family. Same goes for that. Overall, the once nuclear American family. So, as I believe you so well represent, values, mores, ethics, religion, and traditions, they've been changed and eroded. And I think that sometimes things can really be that simple. That simple. So I have a ton of questions for you and only about 17 minutes to do it in. And this phrase that you've used grabbed me. Our aim is to replace long-held lies and deception. So the example, say, with firearms, any thoughts about that, sir?
I certainly do. What first came to mind is a quick story I'll tell you. I grew up in Southern California, and I'm a 70s child. And I remember one late night, early morning, my mom was awakened and woke my father and said, Lonnie, because I'm named after him, I hear something. And he did what most husbands would do. I don't hear anything. Go back to sleep, honey. She said, no, I hear something. And so she wouldn't let him go back to sleep. And she said, I hear something in the front yard, the front of the house. So he got up and he peeked through the window because their bedroom was toward the front of the house. And he could see my sister's car parked in front of the house, but the door was open and someone was hanging out of the door.
Oh, boy.
So my dad got up, went and got his .45, which he kept in a safe, secure place, tiptoed outside behind the individual who was still in the car trying to steal the car, and put the gun up to the individual, says, young man, don't move, I don't want to kill you. The young man backed up out of the car slowly. Said, oh, you got me, sir. And my dad made him sit down on the curb and had my mother call the police. The police show up. My father still has a .45. He no longer has it pointed at the young man because the cops showed up. The cops grabbed the young man, handcuffed him, and put him in the squad car. And then, in a joking manner, say to my dad, Mr. Poindexter, thank you for taking care of this for us. We've been after this individual for a while because he's been doing this throughout your entire neighborhood. And one of the other cops, in a joking manner, said, you should have just shot him. It's been less work for us and paperwork. So they then, in turn, gave the young man a sandwich that they had been eating because I guess they just come off of a late-night break, and they carted the young man off. That was in the early 70s, brother.
That could have been me doing the same thing in the law enforcement agencies that I was working for.
Yes.
I believe that it is truly these days a concerted effort to bring down America and create something today that doesn't exist. You know, if you want to find out about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's socialism and how efficacious it is, merely glance down south at Venezuela these days. Ooh. At Maduro and Guaido, I think is the contender's name, and they are literally on the brink of civil war. I have a story here. Let's see, we got about 12 more minutes. I have a story here that is so sad, yet so perfectly representative of leftists and Democrats and the mindset and how it affects the strata of people that should be least affected. And by now you're probably thinking, where are you going with this? I found a story from 2017, and yeah, it is a year and a half old, but it's still true today. And when I found this, it shocked me, but it really shouldn't. But it's the state of the affair, at least in California today, and I would say around a good portion of the urban centers around America. The headline says 75% of black California boys don't meet state reading standards.
Yes.
And my first thought was, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And the story went on. 3 of 4 African-American boys in California classrooms failed to meet reading and writing standards on the most recent round of testing, according to data obtained from the State of California Department of Education, analyzed by Cal Matters. More than half of black boys scored in the lowest category on the English portion of the test, trailing their female counterparts. The disparity reflects a stubbornly persistent gender gap in reading and writing scores that stretches across ethnic groups. Well, this is California. This is leftist central. This is where all the tax money goes over on the left coast. We, perhaps with the exception of maybe D.C., and you'd likely, Lonnie, have a much better idea of that than I would. California spends more per student on education than just about any state. I would wager D.C. is right the heck up there, too.
Well, we call Washington, D.C. San Francisco East, so I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. These are shocking statistics. And again, goes back to the thing that you emphasize, that I need to emphasize. I read probably a year and a half ago an article that I since threw away, and now I can't find it, and I wish I had. It was multiple pages, and it took me probably a good 15 or 20 minutes to read. But it was about the once nuclear black family and how critical it is to have young black boys have a representative adult, a dad, in the house, in the family. And that's why I will continue to fight for the exact same thing that you're fighting for. You know, all this money means nothing. It's clear that California can't do it. But it also makes me wonder, Lonnie Poindexter, because you have to look at Chicago too, or any urban area these days.
Any urban city.
Do leftists and Democrats, A, are they this blind? And B, the requisite next question, I think, is, do they really care? Do they really care?
I think it's both. You use that word or the term, the numeral 70%. And it seems to ring throughout everything. 70% of black males California can't read. That number's probably national as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
DC, the numbers is the same. 70% of black households, there's no dads, so those young black men don't have any dads. Over 70% of abortion clinics are located in black communities. So you just go on and on. 70 seems to be the operative number. The black community is targeted. If you can break the black community, you can then break America. Because here's the elephant in the room, DZ, as black Americans coming to this country in the bottom of slave ships, once emancipated and during Reconstruction, rebuilt their families and rebuilt their communities, even though they were battling second-class citizenship. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the black community was not broken by slavery. It was not. In fact, if you look at the data and the numbers, it will show you that the black community was largely intact, and where black community could not assimilate into the preponderance of society, they created their own community, their own banking, their own insurance companies, their own institutions of higher learning, their own denominations, the whole 9 yards. And none of that changed until the implementation of the Great Society programs of Lyndon Baines Johnson. That's a topic of a whole other show right there, right, brother?
Oh my God, is it ever? Because I lived through those times. And you said another thing, and I'm going to attribute it to you because I'm pretty sure that you did say it. You said on the last show in August, if the American black family is strong, the American family is strong. And that's, again, why I say that no one is equal until everyone is equal. And I fervently believe that as well. You make a family, the once nuclear black family, strong. Everyone profits. All the tides raise all the boats. I completely believe that. There's another article. This is probably going to be the last one that we're going to have while I'm talking to Lonnie Poindexter, he of the Lion Chasers. This is an article which indicates Dr. Alveda King. Mm-hmm. Planned Parenthood targets blacks for abortion. And at first blush, that's a shocking statement.
Yeah.
So you have to ask the question, does Planned Parenthood target poor black neighborhoods? Dr. Alveda King believes the abortion mill still maintains Margaret Sanger's racist eugenics belief. She spoke on a radio show recently, Dr. Alveda King. She's the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She's the director of Civil Rights for the Unborn with that organization, Priests for Life. The focus is on Planned Parenthood and the African American community. She said the leading cause of death in the African American community is not gang violence. It's not gun violence. It's not heart attack. It's not stroke. It's not HIV. It's not high blood pressure. It's not diabetes. People are going to name all of these things. She says, no, it's abortion. The reason we've come to that conclusion statistically is you've got 60 million plus abortions legal in America since 1973. About a third of those occur in the African American community. That means dead babies. And with us being 13%, this is her quote, with us being 13% or less of Americans' population, that means we're having more abortions. Shocking.
All by design.
Shocking. And the other thing that I've never understood, Lonnie Poindexter, is how is it that any leftist, any black American, anyone can support Margaret Sanger, who was an active advocate for the genocide of blacks, and yet she is held up by Hillary Clinton, supported, her work is supported by all sorts of leftists. Planned Parenthood. Lonnie, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, my dad taught me something that I try to use on the regular. He said, son, follow the money to know the true motivations of a thing or a person. And with the whole abortion issue and those who are proponents of abortion, is follow the money. There's an awful lot of money. We spend over $500 million a year on abortion, federal money that goes to support the abortion industry. Another, nearly $400 million a year, Planned Parenthood, who is the largest purveyor of abortion, makes. And they dish out a lot of money to a lot of organizations to keep their mouth shut. Jesse Jackson called abortion black genocide.
Correct.
Until he
Correct.
announced that he was running for president, because the money that came in for his campaign came in from Planned Parenthood, NARAL, and those other organizations. So it's about the money.
What a sad commentary that is. We got about 4 more minutes before the end of the first hour with Lonnie Poindexter, he of the Lion Chasers. So can you tell folks what it is that you're doing these days? I know you go to conferences all over the place. You have your finger in the knowledge set of what's going on. And so tell us maybe some of the things that you're doing, some of the things you've discovered, and some of the work you're doing as well.
Thank you, BZ. Just doing more of the same, enjoying the radio show and looking to grow it into other markets. In addition to that, working with other organizations in a collaborative way to push forth this message of truth, which you espouse from your microphone, which I call a pulpit, each and every day.
Yeah, it is.
To share with our listeners, share with the Common Sense America. I'll be celebrating 7 years here in the swamp in August of this year. I can't believe it's gone by that fast.
God bless you for that.
Yeah, I enjoy what I do, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm still pinch myself that this is actually what I'm doing, considering what I was doing before. I had a different game plan for my life. Before God got my attention, I came to the nation's capital. I was sitting on 10 acres in the wine country in Northern California, in Merlot, and contemplating my navel, saying, I've arrived in life. And today, here I am in the swamp, and I have the waiters to prove it, and speaking truth to power and working with some of the foremost individuals that have the boldness to do that. Dr. Alveda King is a personal friend. I'm glad you mentioned her. And she is a valiant warrior. She catches a lot of heat, BZ, for taking the stance that she takes. But she's fearless in that, and God is elevating her, I believe, because of that. So I just want to say to you, before we finish up today, that I want to commend you for what you're doing each and every day. Don't take it lightly. You're a valiant warrior in the good fight of faith. You're a lion chasers, and it's individuals like yourself that are the watchmen on the wall, making the clarion call, acting more like prophets and saying, hey, this is what's going on. America, wake up, take a stand, push back, because if we do that, we will win, we will prevail.
All is not lost. That's the thing that I have to say that you emphasize all the time. All is not lost. It may seem like it. We can't get down. But by talking to other people like you, like me, and other folks, we can realize that all is not lost. And there is hope in faith and family. And it sounds trite to see that, you're doing God's work. But frankly, you're doing God's work.
So are you, my friend. So are you.
Well, thank you very much. Number one, Lonnie Poindexter, thanks for staying up so late, because it's almost 9 o'clock here on the far left coast, which means that it's almost midnight on the East Coast where you are in D.C. So thank you very much for taking the time to be with me and the listeners here tonight. And God bless to you, sir. Take care. Be safe. Have a good sleep.
All right, brother. Godspeed.
All righty. Thank you, sir, and good night. Folks, that was an incredible interview. That was Lonnie Poindexter of Lion Chasers. We're going to come back, and when we do, I'm going to talk about a number of ways, 68 ways specifically, of fake news stories that have occurred just in the past year and a half to 2 years, just under Donald John Trump, and 4 major news stories that are fake news that have occurred just this past weekend. It never stops, and it never will stop until we kind of make it stop itself. You're listening to me. I am the Bloviating Zeppelin. Oh, one very important thing. When we come back, it's Sack Heads SHAUN in his very own studio, and we'll be talking to Sack Heads SHAUN as well. Don't go away, please.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic, concealed carry, and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sack Heads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We just got through listening to Lonnie Poindexter, the lion chaser, for the past full hour. And because there's a 3-hour difference from the East Coast to the West Coast, that means Lonnie had to stay up until 11 p.m. to be on my show. And yet he goes back to work again. I want to emphasize that. UrbanFamilyTalk.com. That's where you can find him Monday through Friday on his show, Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. UrbanFamilyTalk.com. Great dude. Incredible dude. Always got to have him on. Made sure that I thanked him profusely for being here because Lonnie is what we call an easy interview. And so because he's a radio dude, you get Lonnie on and you throw out a couple of questions and Lonnie just, he responds. And he does a great job. And, you know, you've had Lonnie on the show before, haven't you, Sean?
I've talked to Lonnie quite a bit, actually, in the past. I listen to Lonnie. He is an amazing human being. I love Lonnie to death, and he spent a lot of time in this area. He knows it well, so we've talked about that in the past. But he's just, you know what? He's one of those guys that from the first time you meet him, you kind of feel like you've known him your whole life.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. That's it.
He is so easy
it's like
to interact with.
I had to find out that I had to look up when did I last have Lonnie on? Okay, that's right. It was August 24th. And I picked up with him tonight, called him, he answered immediately, and it was like, well, we never really stopped talking. He just kept talking, and I kept talking, and we asked some questions, and I reemphasized some things, and we were off to the races. It's like, dude, you are like the easiest guy to speak to with an incredibly important message to deliver, which he does all the doggone time.
Yeah, and it's so funny because you look at the different operators, if you will, in this genre that we're in, and you look at like Sack Heads and Chat Show, where it's like a sledgehammer, where you know you're more like a carving knife, and with a little maybe even more of like a hatchet, but you know there's still a little bit of a blade there. There's still some finesse. Lonnie's the scalpel. Surgical, precise, smooth, easy, clean.
That's a nice simile. I like that.
And I've always thought that about him. He's just so soft in his voice, but it's so booming in how he uses it and how he the way he his inflection, the way he speaks, and when he's one of those guys that when he speaks to you, not at you.
Yeah.
He converses to you, which, I've done a bunch of interviews, and you've done a bunch of interviews, and there are absolutely some people that come in, they want to get their message across, whatever it is, and I understand that. That's part of the game. And they speak at you. They get all their bullet points in. They get all their talking points in. You're silent because you can't get a word in edgewise.
Wow. You nailed it with that. And you and I have both spoken to people exactly like that.
Absolutely. And Lonnie's the opposite. Lonnie, as an interviewer, and just speaking with Lonnie, you could pass 15 hours and not even realize it because he's so just unbelievably awesome. And he makes you feel good about you. Like, he's one of those guys that you walk away from hanging out and talking to Lonnie and you feel better. It doesn't even matter how tough the topic was. That's the funniest part. It could be like a completely horrendous topic, something that nobody likes to talk about, but in this business, we have to. That's our job, is to talk about stuff like that. And you walk away and you're just like, I feel good. I feel good.
It would be fun to meet Lonnie, if for no other reason to see the reaction of people in a room when he walks in, because I bet that when he walks into a room, there's a certain presence about him that few people possess. And we all know those people when we see them, when we meet them. But they're impressive people, they're squared away people, and it's hard to say exactly. It's hard to quantify them, but you know them when you see them.
Well, and so you know how I judge everybody, and it's always like, hey, I want to get a cocktail into that guy.
You are horribly judgmental. That's how you judge people. I mean, it is
very true.
The way it goes.
Lonnie's one of those guys I'd love to sit and have a couple cocktails with and just pick his brain. and spend a few hours just talking about everything. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, too, when you're in this side of the business, on air, people, and you know who's a great example of this? I know a lot of conservatives don't like him, a lot of conservatives do, whatever, is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, if you've ever seen him not in a debate or not on his show, he's a much easier, kind of smooth, fluid guy. Not that he's rigid or anything, but he's always attacking when you see him speak. He's always attacking when he's on his show. He's always getting his point across because that's his job in the public light. And he's said this before. My public image is different than my private image. Yes, I believe all the same things, but how you talk off the air is a lot different. And we're not all that different. We kind of have a lot of the same qualities on and off. But Lonnie's one of those guys, I bet you couldn't tell the difference.
No, I fervently believe that.
Yeah.
His persona on air, so to speak, would be the exact same persona that you would receive,
because it's not two different people.
When you would come up and talk to him, introduce yourself to him, have a conversation, etc. Yeah, I completely believe in that.
And if you're not friends with him on Facebook, every once in a while, Lonnie will post something from the 70s or the 80s of himself, pictures. And if you're not friends with him on Facebook, shame on you, because it is totally worth it. I will tell you now.
I think I can see some of the visuals from here.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It was amazing. I love when he does it. I always make sure I comment. It's just awesome. And, yeah.
Nothing like hearkening back to the 70s, for God's sake.
He had some outfits, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. We're talking, oh, yeah. Dude right here, too. We're talking hair. We're talking bell bottoms. We're probably talking Nehru jackets.
Oh, yeah.
All that foolishness that I went through. Probably men's platforms. Men wore platform shoes for a while.
It was platforms and heels were okay in the 70s because you had speed suits and all the other things. The Italian boots with the heels.
I forgot leisure suits.
Well, you also had the speed suits, right? The Italian zip-up suits that were one piece for guys, like a onesie. But they were dressed to go out. They had a little buckle around. And then they all wore the low Italian loafers with the zips and the 3-inch heels. Oh, yeah, man. I'll tell you right now, that was the man bun of the 70s.
Oh, God. Leisure suits, white shoes, white belts.
Oh,
God.
I got to get me a white belt.
Oh, Lordy. Okay, enough of that stuff. Hey, why don't we do this, as a matter of fact? Okay, let's not do that because that was the wrong cut. Let's do this.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
Now we're doing the right thing. Okay. Here's a story. Walmart to hire hundreds of truck drivers and raise the salary
to almost
nearly
$90,000.
$90,000.
Yeah, I want to go and get my Class A.
This was a great story because the nation is really, really, really hurting for truck drivers right now. Walmart has announced that it will hire literally hundreds of truck drivers and raise driver pay in 2019. Last year, the company saw same-store comp sales hit 3%, which is leading to increased demands on the transportation network, according to a press release. Walmart said 1,400, check this out, folks, just for one company. 1,400 new truck drivers were added to its fleet in 2018.
And they need more.
They need more. The release stated Walmart is going to raise driver pay beginning in February next month. That raise involves a 1 cent per mile increase and additional pay for every arrival. The release states Walmart drivers are now going to earn an average of $87,500 a year with a, quote, an all-in rate close to 89 cents per mile. In the trucking industry,
that's huge.
That's massive.
That's big money. And I'll tell you right now, if you are thinking about applying or getting your Class A, if you do not hurry, you will have so many truck drivers jump. And look, over-the-road trucking is not an easy business.
Oh, no. Especially now when it's regulated up the ass.
Well, and even at that, so the regulations do affect the driver, but the company owns the truck for in Walmart's case. And they have the speed pass, they have the electronic logging, they have all that other stuff that's already squared away. For the driver, it's just making sure you're meeting your time in your logbook and all the other stuff. And that's the only holdback. But it's not an easy job. You're responsible for that load behind you. You're driving a big rig down the freeway with a group of idiots that cannot drive, all 4 seasons, all sorts of weather. You're by yourself most of the time. You're rolling into some of the places. Let's face it, some of the places Walmarts are in are not the nicest places in the world. And if you roll in 2 or 3 hours early, you have to exist there for a little bit. You're away from home, etc., etc., etc. And look, trucks make this country go.
I've said this for a long time. Truckers move this country.
The whole world.
Period. End of statement. Because it takes a ship to get things over here. It takes trains to get them to various points.
And then it takes trucks from there.
Then it takes trucks to get them to all the various places that all of that equipment, all of those things, those goods
right.
need
And there's
to
only
go.
so many train tracks, right?
Yeah. And they do not access so many places that trucks can do so easily and so readily.
And the other thing, which is why it always pisses me off when I see diesel fuel so expensive right now. Even compared to regular gasoline, it's still like 35 cents a gallon more.
Yep.
When diesel fuel was historically cheaper.
Oh, it was much, much cheaper.
It was the cheapest because it's the cheapest to make. But because under past administrations in states like California and all the other ones, they hammered diesel fuel because diesel fuels go in those big, ugly trucks that spit out that black smoke, which, by the way, diesel technology in the last 15 years has gone through the roof. It's always been good.
It's so much more different than it used to be. Now they're mixing with water and urea and the emissions, the particulate
and you have
is coming down.
You have the DEF, the diesel emission fluids. And then it's incredible what they've done with the diesel engine, how far it's come. So much so that you're seeing it used to be only Volkswagen and a couple other foreign companies made diesel engines outside of pickup trucks. But now you're seeing it in small pickup trucks. You're seeing it in other cars. It's starting to become more because it's an intelligent technology. Versatile technology.
All the leftists want to make sure that they get rid of it. But my question would be, okay, if you get rid of the internal combustion engine or a diesel engine, for that matter,
which is compression, not combustion.
Tell me, what is going to power all the ships?
Oh, they don't care. Wind. We'll go back to wind.
And what is going to power all the locomotives?
But they don't give a shit.
That's quite true.
And
that's quite true.
Because
electricity,
none of that stuff
is not going to do
None
it
of
all.
that stuff gets donors. None of that stuff is sexy to go on TV and talk about. None of that stuff will do anything but put people out of work and make things 50 times more expensive in the store.
Folks,
that's the other thing, too, is you don't realize how much transportation affects your price in the store.
Oh, fuel prices go up. Everybody hurts, guaranteed.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that's another reason, for a time they wanted diesel engines sold in California, all through the United States. People aren't making this stuff anymore.
Nope.
Volkswagen, for example, dropped a bulk of its diesel vehicles. Well, they were cheating a little bit.
Right, we know about that.
That was part and parcel of it, but it's because of the fuel prices. And in California, we have regional air districts, not one central district. We have a whole host of regional air districts. Yes. And each regional air district in California can mandate its own unique boutique blend of regular gasoline and diesel if they want it. There's the diesel that you put in a truck, for example, as opposed to the diesel that you put in a tank on a farm to run farm implements.
And it used to all be diesel is diesel. No. Growing up, it was diesel is diesel, gasoline. You had leaded or unleaded gasoline. And then you had high octane and regular unleaded. Now there's all these different, and you have all this fuel, the biofuel, this, that, and the other thing. And look, I've said it before with biofuels and ethanol and all the other stuff. If it works and it's a better choice than the internal combustion engine, guess what? You don't have to do anything to push it. It's going to push itself.
Well, gosh, wait, though.
That's capitalism.
You make an interesting point. Why don't we have more ethanol-fueled vehicles
corn
Oh, wait, I know. That's right. It runs on corn,
Yes.
which is much less efficient
Yes.
in terms of the energy that you get out of every gallon.
Yes.
And by the way, it
rots your engine.
The more, well, my God. If you have a vehicle like most motorcycles, if you make the serious mistake of putting an ethanol-based fuel in most any motorcycle that you've got, your engine is toast, and the manufacturer is going to tell you essentially you can go straight to hell.
Pound sand.
Because that ain't going to be coming back. Your motorcycle isn't going to be coming back. Your engine isn't going to be coming back.
Yeah, it's so ethanol is great if you drive a rental car on a regular basis because it's cheaper than regular gasoline. It's not your car, and you can turn it in when you're done. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you're not particularly concerned with the efficiency of the engine anyway.
There's a reason why ethanol had a big push under the Obama administration because we were paying farmers to grow corn and using that corn because it was an alternative to gasoline.
Right, but there's a downside to that,
and then they
too.
were also paying some farmers to not grow corn.
Right, but there's a downside to that, too, because all the corn that they wanted grown in the United States that formerly would go to poorer countries, literally, that grain was stopped.
Yes.
It no longer went to those countries, and those countries went, okay, what happened?
Guess we'll starve then.
Obama said, well, we're keeping that stuff.
Yep.
And we're going to make sure that we make some
And
fuel
now
out of it.
that we're the highest exporting company in gasoline in the world right now?
We are the number one exporter of refined fuel on the planet. Not oil, refined fuel.
So why is our gas as expensive as it is? Oh, I know, because you have states like California.
Right.
So it's I can't tell you how many times somebody will see a really good gas price in the Midwest, East Coast, especially in the Gulf state that I know, and they'll send me a picture, $1.50.
My first response to you is blow me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in California for God's sake, but on the other hand, Texas, Louisiana, etc., they're on the chemical coast.
Yep.
That's where all the refineries occur.
Yeah, it's
That's
cheap.
why Alberta wanted to send the Keystone XL pipeline
to the chemical coast.
down to the chemical coast to have all the tar sands in Alberta, which is the strongest province in all of Canada, for God's sake. Certainly the wealthiest and the most taxed from Trudeau.
Yeah, Trudeau.
Trudeau. So they wanted to send it down to
That
send
is
their
not my
good
dog.
oil. That's my dog. Down to the chemical coast for refining.
Yes.
Because why would the refineries be down there? Because the big ass ships come in from the ocean and fuel up and take that refined fuel
And sell it.
all around
Yes.
the world.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
Which brings me back to diesel fuel. Nobody can explain to me still why diesel fuel is more expensive than gasoline when historically it was cheaper, which is why one of the other reasons why it became the reason that large engines were run off as specifically buses and trucks.
Let me tell. I can throw something in here. I don't know. By the way, I've recruited truckers as much as I possibly can. Thanks to all the truckers, American truckers that are listening right now. I've always said that America moves because of you, and you send me occasional emails saying that you listen to the show, and I greatly appreciate it. But you pose an excellent question, and I think that my first kind of emotive response to that is, I think there are a lot of people that believe that diesel trucks and diesel conveyances are just dirty, and they need to pay with their lives
And they
as
were.
much as possible. And
They were
so
in the 40s and 50s.
The fuel prices go up. Now, we know that most trucks carry saddle tanks,
Yes.
at least one,
Yep.
more than often two. Those saddle tanks are 150 to 175 gallons each.
Yes.
So you've got at minimum, let's say 300 gallons. Now you try as an owner operator and independent, because if you're
tank.
driving, if you're a driver for like CR England or something like that, but if you're an owner operator, 150 gallons times, I don't know, almost $4 right now.
$600.
That's what you pay every fill up.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, there is no real fuel efficient way to move thousands and thousands of tons down the roadway, up serious grades, over the Sierra Nevada mountains. The plains, that's fine, but you're still going to find trucks having to go up hills, and they get like 8 to 10 miles per gallon, much better than they did, and they're a lot more aerodynamically designed, including the trailers than they were.
They're getting over that too now.
But still,
the efficiency's through the roof.
I can't help but think that fuel prices are there, if for no other reason than just to be punitive.
I agree.
Punitive. That's it.
I agree. And it's sad because the people that it hurts, it is, like you said, the owner-operators, the individuals who own more than everybody else. Look, you talk about...
They're being run out of the business.
You talk about
the independents.
Walmart. You talk about Walmart. You talk about CR England and all, JB Hunt and all the other ones.
Yep.
They have the buying power. They negotiate deals with gas companies directly so their gas is cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. The individual owner-operator does not have that. Now, look, if you've talked to owner-operators, they love it. If you talk to those who work for the big lines, they love it. It's almost, they're always going to fight over which one's better. But, and they're all amazing in their own right. But the reality of the situation, it's funny because you're just talking about how many did Walmart want to hire? 1,900?
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to pay $90,000 a year.
Yeah.
And we talk about college, we talk about student loans, we talk about all of these other things, and how many people go to college for lesbian interpretive dance specialist, which has no job market,
right? LIDS, LIDS,
right? And then they go out and they have $75,000 in student loans, and there's 9 jobs in the entire world, and they pay $60,000.
Now
wait a minute, hear me out.
Oh, you're wrong. Oh, you're wrong.
For $5,000 to $7,000.
Wow, you're wrong.
You can go to truck driving school, learn how to drive. Some of these companies will pay for you to go to school, or you go to school at their school.
And they'll move you. Also.
And now, look, if Walmart's going to start paying that much, all these other companies are going to come up too. It's just the way it is.
Another point, because it's a demand of the market. When you have
the market's up,
a bigger demand, and you have fewer people available to fit that, then prices naturally are inherently going to go up. Welcome to Doc Holliday in chat. We're very happy to see that he has come back from the dead.
Yes.
Just to be with us.
He's our Huckleberry.
He is.
He's our Huckleberry.
Here's why you're wrong, though. You're so seriously wrong, Sack Heads SHAUN. My Johnny is and my Jane is such a perfect individual. I can't have them lower themselves
to
be a truck driver. No, their destiny lies in college. Their destiny lies in a university where you can get something in intramural underwater basket weaving or bobcat creation.
90,000.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, I'll be the first and foremost. I've been in my industry now for 23 years.
Okay.
I have a very, very good job at what I do off the air. I like to think I'm particularly good at it.
Okay.
I've had a lot of education and training in it. It is a career job.
Yeah, it's not just a job.
Yeah, it's an executive position. I'm in an executive position. And the truck drivers at Walmart are going to make more than me. And I'm okay with it. Don't get me wrong.
No, if there, that's the thing about the capitalist system. If there is a demand,
yes,
that demand needs to be filled. And so it is with this. And how can folks sit and denigrate the American trucking industry when literally everything you get, you touch, you sit on, you interact
came
with
via a truck.
Everything came by way of a truck.
And by the way, if you've never driven a big rig, I've actually had the opportunity.
I have had to. I have to say, they're fun. I enjoyed it.
It is a lot of fun. I did it for a job at one point in my life for a few months, and it wasn't that there was anything wrong with that job itself. I just went back to the field that I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
I got an offer I couldn't say no to. But I grew up always wanting to do it.
I did too.
It was one of those things I thought would be so cool.
Yeah.
And, you drive this big, massive truck and all this other stuff. And, out in the open road, you're seeing the world. You're seeing all these different things. You're seeing this cool stuff. And, you see a lot of bad things too. But that just always appealed to me. So to be able to do that, even for a short period of time,
That's all I did was for a very short time. And
was
a bus.
was a dream come true. I've driven a bus too.
And of the two, I enjoyed the hell. I had a Kenworth, and it had a very small sleeper. But even since I did that for a very short time in the 70s, the technology in trucking has absolutely exponentially exploded. To look in the cab of a truck
now
today,
oh yeah,
they are so incredibly sumptuous and luxurious compared to what I saw back then.
I learned on a day cab, as they call it. It's no sleeper. You can see out the back window.
Okay.
It was a 1978, 77 GMC Brigadier 10-speed.
Okay.
That's
right.
what
I know exactly. I got that in my brain right here. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I also learned on a Cab Over International, which was also a 10-speed.
That busted your butt.
Yeah, it was different.
Over?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
When you're first learning, because the guy who taught me after I did the day cab and I actually got my my Class A, the guy who taught me said, all right, before you can go, I want to take you out bobtailing in the cab over because it's different. It has a sleeper. You've never driven one without a sleeper. It rides different. How you see things are different.
Oh, yeah, does it ride different?
So when you bobtail, which has no trailer, bobtailing is no trailer. In the GMC, it was rough. It wasn't, but it wasn't bad.
No, because you're not sitting over the axle, folks.
Holy goodness!
In a cab over, you're sitting over the
Thank
axle.
God for air ride seats.
Yeah.
Is all I can say. If you had a drink and it didn't have a lid, you were wearing it. It was amazing. It was amazing, and a hell of an experience. But it gave me a totally different. It definitely gave me respect for those in the industry because. I did it locally. I didn't do it over the road. I did a couple long trips down to Florida and back when I was younger. But it was
fun. Yeah, I thought it was fun, and it was an adventure. Folks, we're going to have to take a break. You're listening to Sack Heads SHAUN right over there. And BZ on the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Thanks again to Lonnie Poindexter for being here in the first hour. And we're going to be right back after this. We're going to talk a little bit more about truckers. We're going to continue with a few more happy stories, and then I'm going to go into the 68 fake news stories that have occurred just in the slight amount of time that Trump has been president.
I will pay you $1 if we get through all of that.
Okay, all right. I can try.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sack Heads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Wow, it's the final segment. If I can find, here we go. So I can get back. Oh, now I can see myself. Welcome to the final segment of the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show.
Yes.
Live and direct right here from the SHR Media studios. And during the break, Sack Heads SHAUN and I were reminiscing about trucks and buses that we have driven, because we've both done that. Welcome to the Alaskan in chat. Welcome to Doc Holliday in chat. Mike in chat.
I'm so winning $1.
And, and okay, so a bet was made. So now I have to try to figure out, do I want to go through the rest of my stories, my happy stories? You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll start this again, and then I'll check and see where things are. Okay.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
I found this from the New York Post. It goes like this. The headline is, Nathan Phillips is a liar, not a victim. And if you've been in, I don't know, like Frog Dick, North Dakota or something like that, and you haven't had the internet or you haven't watched TV, the story goes like this. Days after Nathan Phillips' story of his confrontation with a group of students in Washington was thoroughly discredited, many on the left are still rallying behind him, pretending he was somehow some kind of a victim. This even after both the New York Times and the Washington Post had to publish not just clarifications about the incident, but even corrections of his claim to be a Vietnam or, quote, Vietnam Times veteran. What the fuck, Sack Heads SHAUN is a Vietnam Times veteran? Oh, I guess he was alive during Vietnam.
He was enlisted. So from what I understand and from what I've read, he was enlisted during the time that Vietnam was still technically active, even though he was never in theater. He never left the continental United States. He said he was a recon ranger. He was, in fact, a refrigerator electrician.
There we go.
And look, that's not to disparage people in the military who are doing electrical jobs or HVAC or whatever. But what I'm saying is you don't lie about it. And say that you were.
There's a phrase for that. That's called stolen valor.
Right.
And in some areas, that is a crime.
Yes, and rightfully so.
As well it should be.
And rightfully so. The other thing I'd like to point out about the story, BZ, when was the last time you saw this many leftist media personalities make retractions?
I have to say it's been quite some time. That's why this is a happy story.
Yes.
Because it's all bullshit. Now, you mentioned that. It turns out that he was a stateside refrigerator technician.
Yes.
And the story also points out he was frequently AWOL.
And arrested several times.
It also turns out Phillips made nearly identical allegations against a few college students 4 years ago. So apparently he has a track record of this. Yet the instant a single video of the incident hit Twitter, journalists jumped to uncritically accept Phillips' account of how a mob of MAGA hat-wearing white little teens surrounded and taunted him. After all, the image exploited reporters' preconceptions. Here was a poor, aged Native American surrounded by a pack of smirking pro-Trump teens.
George Orwell, 1984.
But if you
face
look,
crime.
Yeah,
It's a face crime.
It's a face crime. If you look at all the videos of the incident, soon it came to show that, I'm sorry, the guy's lying. He was the one who confronted the students, unprovoked, beating a drum just inches from
their faces.
And
this was after the group was harassed
by the Black Hebrew, Black Hebrew Israelites.
Israelites, yes. And
who threw all kinds of nasty-ass taunts and were threatening towards those kids. These are adults yelling. Threatening.
Cracker-ass cracker.
Yeah.
Things like that because they were wearing Trump hats. I've heard conservative people saying, well, you got to realize that in this day and age, if you wear that hat, this sort of thing's going to happen.
I'm sorry. My two-word response to that is...
The skirt's too short?
Blow me. If it's a hat and you get triggered by a hat... Oh, speaking of which, now, all right, you're going to win $1. I can tell you this right now. You're going to win $1.
Is this the logic versus emotion video?
No, this is... let me see if I can find it. This is... Okay, here it is. This is a video... from David Harris. Folks, if you don't know who David Harris is a black conservative dude. I think he's on the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
And he
might be down Florida.
He's somewhere east.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where. But he, like Lonnie Poindexter, he's a conservative. He's a black male, and he wears a MAGA hat. And here is him making a recording that I have to play for you. Thank God I had it up here. Of some little shaved head, teeny bopper chick.
This is the one I was just talking about. The emotion versus the facts.
That goes nuts over a black man having the temerity to wear a MAGA hat in front of her. This is great. You're going to love this.
Think about your hat and the way it makes people feel because it incites fear in all those around us. Every person is afraid of that hat. I'm afraid of that hat. Keep America great. For so many people, that's racism.
Yeah, but that's because of the mainstream media's narrative that's painted Donald Trump as a racist. I don't agree with the narrative. I'm out here to try to share that that narrative is skewed.
As a human being, you should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Wait, you said pay attention to fear and not logic?
As a human being, we should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Have you ever seen the YouTube video?
We're going to have to somehow immure that on a piece of stone. We need to pay attention to fear and not logic.
Have you ever seen...
Jesus.
There's a video called Modern Education. And it's produced by an independent filmmaker. He's out of Australia. His name's Neil Kolakar. He's a little bit of a comedian outside, too. He's a pretty funny guy. He's got some stuff. He's not a conservative dude. He's almost like that dude in England that's kind of just like, hey, I'm against political correctness, even though he's a liberal.
I know who you're talking about,
the
white guy with the glasses.
Yes, this dude's kind of like that too. And he's released, if you look it up on YouTube, it's just called Modern Education, education spelled wrong, EDUCAYSHUN. And it breaks what this girl is the epitome of this satire that he did.
Okay, spell that again. Modern Edu.
EDUCAYSHUN. And it's about a 7-minute video. And it's a young man who's walking into a classroom.
Okay, spell that again. Oh, wait, here it is. Okay. Education.
Yes. And you'll see it, like, it kind of opens with him walking down the hall.
Okay.
And there's a teacher in there and 3 other students, and it's supposed to be an advanced mathematics class.
Okay, tell you what. Thanks for the insight on that. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I want to play the rest of the David Harris cuss. And now that I have this over on the machine over here, this laptop, I'm going to play that after this.
Okay.
And if I don't get through because I'm not, I'm Jesus. You nailed me so bad. I'm not even going to get to that story. I can tell right now I'm not going to get to that story. I'm going to have to do it on Tuesday after Kurt Schlichter. Anyway, we're going to play the rest of David Harris because it just when you think it's not going to get any better, it gets better. And then we're going to play that one because I'm sure you wouldn't have said anything about that unless it was really good. So, okay, here's the rest of David Harris.
That narrative is skewed.
As a human being, we should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Wait, you said pay attention to fear and not logic?
Yes.
I should have paid attention to emotions and not facts?
Yes.
Why would I pay attention to emotions when
that are real in this world?
Facts are facts?
Are facts. No, emotions are real. Emotions is one removed from spirit. I find that it is hard to trust others.
You shouldn't trust the mainstream media. You should start listening and looking into things.
What media then do you suggest? That is saying don't trust knowledge, operate in darkness.
No, go look up facts. Go look up actual statistics and facts. Look up Pew Research.
Emotion is real.
But emotions change, don't they?
You can't write this stuff. This is this little
mohawk.
No, she's totally shaved.
No,
she's
got a tiny mohawk down the middle.
Oh, okay.
She has the infinity tattoo behind her ear.
You're right. Oh my God,
You should listen to emotions and not facts. I don't trust people
with facts.
I don't trust people with facts.
Yeah. Okay, you recommended this, and I have it all queued up here. Here is, and this is, I'm getting this from YouTube right now. It's called Modern Education.
It's a few years old.
From Neil
Kolakar.
Okay, there it is. Here we go. If I can, there we go. All right, let's listen.
So he's walking into a classroom right now. Like I said, this is most of it. You'll be able to get audio. There may be a couple things that I'll jump in and kind of explain. So as he walks into this classroom, there's this giant casket, if you will, in the middle.
Yeah, he's not. He's walking down the hallway.
Right. He's not in there yet. He hasn't entered the classroom yet.
But he's about to.
Yep.
And now it says Modern
Education.
He's opening the door.
So it's a regular classroom, teacher in the front, 3 other students, and then
he's a white kid, by the way, or he appears white.
Yeah.
Boy.
Ignore that. It will end.
That was the casket that was still moving.
Yes.
She said it will end.
Now, our first question: 1 + 1. Yes.
2.
Incorrect.
That would be him.
Yes.
Multiculturalism.
Well done, Simon. Next question. What is 3 × 3? Yes?
9.
Wrong. Yes, Penelope.
Gender equality.
Very good, Penelope.
Is this a joke?
Do you think gender equality is a joke?
No, but isn't this a maths class?
Don't be so racist.
I just asked a question.
We don't ask questions. Questions are offensive.
Yeah.
Now, students, I trust you've all completed your research assignments.
The other
and
third
the
student
person with the highest mark
is
will be
a little
flying
special
to New York
needs.
to present their paper at the World Mathematics Summit. Well done, Penelope. 6 out of 10. You too, Simon. 6 out of 10.
Oh, nice grade.
Hey, be careful. You've been staring at her for 10 seconds.
What?
It's a form of harassment to stare at a woman for more than 15 seconds straight. And when I use the term straight, I don't mean to offend any persons of a non-traditional sexual preference. And when I use the term non-traditional, I don't mean to offend any persons who oppose historically normalized...
Okay, I get it.
Unfortunately, Sunshine, your research assignment is only worth a 1 out of 10.
Uh-oh.
And his is just a single piece of paper, Sunshine's. That's his name.
I've used Fourier transform and mathematical methods in electronics to analyze the electrodiagrams of at-risk patients and calculate their risk of experiencing a heart attack. I mean, it's a new method, but it could potentially save thousands of lives.
7.
You barely even read it.
You used red pen.
What?
Red is considered offensive in many religions.
Why would you belittle everything down to a singular colour? Well, humanity is a rainbow of beauty and spirituality.
Yeah. Okay, fine. 7 out of 10, but that still means I get to go to the summit, right?
The marking process isn't over yet. Now, because we live in a society based on equality, the total amount of marks are to be divided equally among our students.
You've got to be kidding me.
Well done, students. We're all equal. We're all average.
Yay!
But then who gets to go to the summit?
Oh, we haven't added our privilege points yet. Don't you know anything?
That is correct.
Apparently not.
Now, Penelope, you are female, so that's +1 privilege point. However, you are white, so that's -1.
I'm also bisexual.
+1. That leaves you with a total score of 6 out of 10. Wow. Simon, unfortunately, you're straight, white, and male.
And cisgendered.
Yes, so that's -4 privilege points, which leaves you with a total score of 1.
That's only fair.
Now you're male, and I don't like you. So that's -2 privilege points, but you are brown and sexually ambiguous. So that's +2. That leaves you with a total score of 5.
Wait, why am I sexually ambiguous?
And finally, Sunshine.
I'm gay, I'm trans, I'm Asian, I'm overweight, I'm lower class, I'm unintelligent, unattractive, I've got hairs on my nipples, and I also got body odor, and I can't really run properly or tie my shoelaces by myself. I once watched a pigeon die.
Wonderful, Sunshine. That's 13 privilege points. That leaves you with a total score of 18 out of 10. Well done, Sunshine. You're going to New York.
Hooray, Sunshine!
I knew you could do it!
Let me see this. They've just written equality and drawn love hearts on a piece of paper.
He expressed himself, and it's beautiful.
He didn't even spell equality correctly.
We don't discriminate.
This has nothing to do with mathematics.
You think you're so great with your maths and your science and your facts? What about feelings, huh?
Yeah. Feelings are more important than facts.
Yeah! This is wrong.
Okay. I hate to point out the obvious right now.
Yes.
And thank you for bringing this to my attention. This was, let's see. Oh, by the way, this has got on YouTube. This has got 13,702,657 views. It's 7 minutes long, and it was not made but a couple of years ago.
2015.
This is fantasy. This is a video someone created. Now, fast forward to 2019.
2 days ago.
And compare that to what we just heard from this little unit up here, if I can find it, that...
We should pay attention to fear and not logic.
Wait, you said...
We should pay attention to fear and not logic. So compare 2015 to 2019, and this is what we have. One was fantasy.
One's a reality.
This week is reality.
But and if you let this play out, you'll see how much it actually it sticks to reality. It was a premonition.
Let's continue then, please.
You're all crazy.
Stop violating me with your different opinions.
I have the right to speak my mind.
No, we have the right not to be offended.
And that's more important.
That's right.
And if you don't stop verbally assaulting us, we will be forced to attack you in self-defense.
Can't do that.
Actually,
attack you in
we
self-defense.
have every right to do so.
And it's illegal for you to fight back.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Prepare to die a noble social justice warrior. Death!
They're now attacking him.
Yep. Now there's another student outside.
Yep, young lady.
A female. She's coming in. She's looking around.
Welcome.
And the box in the middle moves.
And it's the same people, except they're missing someone.
Ignore that.
Ignore that. It will end.
It will end.
So the last thump comes from the box itself, and there's movement in the video that you can't see, obviously, because you're listening on tape. But it's the metaphor for his last fighting against the social justice movement, the fear, all of these other things.
Yeah,
and that was his last thump, his last try, and then it was over. Now there's another person they're bringing in to destroy as well.
That's right, and it's, as they said, this is what the left thinks.
Yes.
In terms of they have carte blanche to attack you because somehow you've offended them in self-defense.
Antifa.
And it's perfect. It's just like Antifa. And you lack the ability in their minds to defend yourself from any of that, because if you even defend yourself or stand your ground,
you're
like
attacking.
the kid did this past weekend, standing your ground,
committing face crimes
in this arena today. Just I read all sorts of tweets and pieces on social media saying that kid, just by standing his
Racist.
ground, was assaulting the Native American.
Yes. And then you have all these celebrities, throw him in a wood chipper. You have the girl from the SNL writer, I'll blow anybody who punches this kid in the face.
You can't write this shit.
No.
It's nuts.
This is where we're at right now, where it's okay to incite violence for somebody for doing nothing. The kid did nothing. If you want to say that he was kind of acting like an ass, okay. With the grin on his face, if you want to say he was kind of being douchey, okay, I'll accept that as a potential. But he still didn't physically touch this guy. Who got into his face? Yeah, he had a smirk on his face. Maybe he was just confused as all hell.
This really is, ladies and gentlemen, straight out of 1984.
Yep.
Not this
face crimes.
Not this Christmas, because this past Christmas was a piece of crap for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the Christmas before that, I bought copies of 1984 for you and
Sackhead
for
Clint.
also Sackhead's
Yes.
Clint, for you guys to read. And with every day, with every week, with every month,
we see it more and more.
1984 is well on its way to being realized.
And to show you in kind and to make sure that I stuck with the literature theme, this year I got you vodka.
Okay. And I acknowledged you with that, and I need to acknowledge again. Actually, I need to acknowledge three more things before we call it a night. Number one, I need to acknowledge that, as I am saying, I've been ably supported by KC 135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consulting at the conclusion of this show tonight, as with every show that
those
I do.
guys work hard.
My Kettle One refueling team, they are some working ass bastards.
A lot of overtime on that ship. A lot of overtime.
So thank you, because you didn't get me just any vodka.
Nope.
No, life is too short for cheap vodka.
I know what you liked.
As you readily recognized.
Yes.
And thank you again for that.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't looking for a thank you. It's one of those things, right? You always see things for certain people, and you're like, nope, I know exactly who that needs to go to. Or I need. So for me,
Yeah.
I get that a lot, and luckily for me, it happens more than probably other people. I get bourbon. People are like, oh, it's your birthday. Here's a bottle of bourbon. Oh, it's Christmas. Here's your bottle of bourbon. Or whiskey. Those are usually my two.
I would have guessed whiskey before bourbon.
Both.
Okay.
Both. I'm on a bourbon kick right now.
Okay.
It's nothing to say that I don't love my Irish whiskey. I absolutely do. I just like bourbon right now. I'm into it.
Okay.
Oh,
you get to do that. It's a free country.
Absolutely. But when I saw the Kettle One, I was buzzing by my little cart in the store because I have to use the electronic cart still because I can't walk more than 25 steps.
Right.
And I looked up and it was high on the shelf.
Oh, that's bad.
And I said to myself, nope, like Tiny Tim. I said, damn it, BZ's going to drink that. And then there was the music, the Rocky music, started playing out of nowhere. And I climbed the shelf one at a time, heaving my body up, all the way up. And just then, you're not going to believe this.
It fell on your head.
No, a dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex with his little stubby arms, came in and he grabbed the bottle as well while the fight was on, BC.
Trying to take the bottle from you?
We destroyed that store.
Oh my God,
One leg,
that's so wrong.
And my little shopping scooter against a T-Rex. Also you, my friend, and the refueling team could keep going.
Well, I have to, number one, thank you very much for doing that. and for, I would consider that to be fighting the good fight.
Yes.
Wouldn't you?
Hell yeah.
That's fighting the good fight.
Hey, all the stitches were totally worth it.
Thank you.
You should see my left knee. The thing destroyed it.
I know. How sad that is. Another thing that I've got to say is next Tuesday it was confirmed Kurt Schlichter is going to be here in the saloon for the first hour. I had Kurt on before. He's got 2 books to promote. One was Militant Normals, and the other one is the 3rd edition of his dystopian future novels where California and a bunch of leftist states have seceded from the Union.
All right, let's get going on that.
And you got to read all of his books. Indian Country being one of them, Militant Normal. So I'm going to have him here on Tuesday. Next Thursday night, I'm going to have Ron Edwards back in the saloon.
Outstanding man.
And the other thing I want to end up with is this. I introed the show starting with this. I missed, for me, a very important anniversary, which was January 17th, last Thursday. Well, I wasn't feeling too good. I had the flu, blah, blah, blah. Any event, it's here now, and I want to recognize you. That anniversary is the 2-year anniversary of me being here in the saloon.
Yes.
So I have to say that I thank Sack Heads Radio ever so kindly for allowing me on your air. It came at a time when I had pretty much just retired, and I had to get off the heroin, and you guys were nice enough to allow me a radio show. I bigfooted your radio show. I bigfooted the Sackheads radio show. I bigfooted Ken McClinton's radio show. I bigfooted Jersey Joe's show. Tried to get on just about every show that I could. I can distinctly remember...
Butcher.
Oh, Danny Butcher, right. I can distinctly remember you telling me, before you do this is a little technological here, and these days, now, specifically, oh, hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The studio has changed markedly.
It went from the mid-'90s to actually 2018.
Yeah. So things have changed in that regard. But I can remember you saying, you have the ability with Spreaker to pre-record your show, and I would recommend that. And I thought, okay. But I've been on radio before for a long time ago. And I thought, okay, well, just jump in and do it. Yeah, just jump in and figure out how to make Spreaker work and all this kind of stuff. And so I didn't pre-record anything. I went live, and I never looked back. And every show has been live.
Yes.
Now, there have been some pre-recorded guests
absolutely
on the show that I've played. But every show, I'm happy to say, has been live with all of my mistakes, foibles, etc. And yet I really have had the time of my life.
And I have the call history to prove it.
It's like when you weren't here, when you were in another location at I would get through with the show at like 10:30 or something like that. I'd send you a text, something similar to, hey, blah blah happened, and I couldn't get the blah blah to blah blah. So do you know anything about that?
Well, it was like tonight, right? You called me.
Yeah.
Tonight's the best example. You called me, and before I even knew what you were going to ask, I already knew what it was, and I already knew how to fix it.
You did. That's exactly it. What we've got is we decided that we're going to get a preamp over here for this microphone because this microphone is a little underdriven. So you have to overdrive it to get the volume up. When you do that, you get all the ambient sounds and whatnot in the microphone. So I got an amplifier 286S for this thing, which only takes this microphone, and I saw that apparently it was plugged into the amp, but we need a different connecting cord, and I'm way over that, so I don't care. It's my show, damn it. It's 5 minutes over. So this microphone was plugged into the preamp, and I turned on mic 3 over here on the slider. It didn't happen. So I'm thinking, damn it, Jim, why didn't you get here maybe about 10 minutes earlier? Because it's about 7 minutes to go before the show. Big mistake, tactical error.
And I must have missed you because I ran out to grab dinner and stuff. So I must have missed you by 10 minutes.
Yeah, you weren't here. So I thought, okay, well,
here we are.
Do I make the phone? Because when I make the phone call, I know exactly what's going to be happening in the brain housing group of Sean, and I know what he's going to be thinking. By God, just like you said, you knew exactly what it was. Okay, BZ, here's what you do. Go back to the back of that thing, pull out the XLR, and connect it back in the number 3 pod over here, and then you're going to have a microphone. So I remember trailing this back, and it went into the preamp, and he was talking about the preamp, and
there it was.
You knew.
I knew exactly what it was.
Exactly.
Because when I set up the preamp earlier tonight, I had everything all lined up, ready to go. I went to my magical box of cords, which I will say that I have every cable.
You have everything known to man.
Known to man, except for the one.
What you needed.
The 1 1/4 to the male XLR. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just, of course. And I dug through everything. I have a female. I have 9 of them. I had 9 of them. Not a male.
What I think I'm going to have to do tomorrow is go to that music store that's down in Elk Grove.
Yeah.
Skips Music. And that's where I've gotten a lot of this stuff because XLR cords, mics, etc. That's in their scheme of things. And see if I can find a connector cord with that.
It just made me laugh that I'm like, I have 9 females.
You knew what.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew what BZ was calling for.
Yeah. So, anyway, thanks to you.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to Sack Heads Clint, the 2 owners of SHR, for allowing me.
More me.
It is more you.
I found you.
Listen, I'll be the first to admit that.
I found you.
Yeah, you did. And I got to tell this story, too. Okay, so we meet at a Starbucks on Stockton Boulevard. And as I meet at the Starbucks, we sit down, we talk about what's going to happen, what we can do, etc. And you got to go back to work. And I don't because I'm retired. So what do? I parked on a side street, and just for going downtown to meet with you at a Starbucks, I go back to my car, and there's a big fucking ticket.
Welcome to SHR.
Big ticket on my car, and that's the first thing I thought is, welcome. Is this the future of my relationship with SHR? Is a big-ass parking ticket.
Well, wait, because that was just the beginning. Because then we just beat you for a couple weeks, almost nonstop. We made you lug everything down to Las Vegas for us.
I had to drive everything, all the equipment down in the Kraut car.
2 years.
To do that. And you guys skied away on Southwest.
And then we ran you around Vegas like a son of a bitch. Didn't find out afterwards he had foot surgery. We had an intern. We actually had an intern in Vegas the first time.
Yeah, it's an intern who was in his 7th decade at the time, and you and Clint are probably saying, "Let's use the fuck out of this guy."
Hey, who needs coffee? Hey, kid, go get us a cup of coffee.
And in retrospect, I got to say, those were some of the best times.
We had a blast.
Those were great times.
I'll tell you, the two years in Freedom Fest, we've gone for 4, but the 2 years that you, and we had fun every time, but the 2 years you were there, we just had a shit ton of fun.
Oh, they were great times. So from me to you and to Clint in absentia, but mostly to you because you're here, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's an anniversary that was important to me. Jeff Dunnett's just celebrated
13,
something like that, years on his blog.
I'll show you my call log from Jeff too.
And I know that for a fact. I already know that for a fact.
I love Jeff. I do love Jeff so much.
So, in all honesty, for just a moment, thank you from the bottom of my little quailing heart. Before I issued my factory-issued heart attack, I want to say thank you. And, folks, with that...
It is a total pleasure to have you, and we appreciate you being here.
I'm going to sign off, but, of course, not without doing this.
Monsieur has been locked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I got to say thank you for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here at the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP. on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Not writing so much there anymore. My intro music is by Possessed Tranquility. You can find them at reverbnation.com. Promotional consideration is always, as ever, by the Boeing Company and the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. The Boeing Company, because if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also thanks to Pratt & Whitney Engines, providing thrust you can trust. And, of course, every once in a while, the Allahu Snack Bar, a little bit of Muhammad in every bite. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than an hour. Thanks to Lonnie Poindexter for being here in the first hour. Thanks to you for listening live. Thanks to Sack Heads SHAUN for being here in the second hour.
Thank you.
God bless everybody. Take care, be safe, have a great weekend. And I'll see you back on Tuesday with Kurt Schlichter. Ciao.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.